welcome everybody to today's interview with Ahmad Joudeh. I'm Kevin Stevens. I'm editorial director of Imagine Books, which is the adult imprint of Charles Bridge Publishing. And I'm very pleased today to be able to spend some time with Ahmad to introduce you to his wonderful new book that we're publishing, Dance or Die, which is a memoir. Ahmad was born in Syria in 1990 and grew up as a stateless refugee in the Al Yarmouk camp on the outskirts of Damascus in Syria. And during the violence of the Syrian civil war, he pursued his dream as a dancer. And he appeared eventually on the Middle Eastern version of So You Think You Can Dance, and then eventually moved to Europe in 2016 and became a dancer with the Dutch National Ballet. He's very accomplished. He performs worldwide. He has been since 2019, he was appointed as an international friend by the SOS Children's Villages, which is an NGO that provides humanitarian and development assistance to children throughout the world. A video about his life, which is also called Dance or Die, came out in 2019 as well and won an International Emmy Award. As I mentioned, he's performed throughout the world, oftentimes in events sponsored by different United Nations programs, such as the UNESCO or the United Nations Refugee Agency. And next month, Ahmad is very excited to be participating in the Eurovision Song Contest, and he's going to dance at the second of the two semifinals in Rotterdam there. So I only touched very briefly on Ahmad's great accomplishments as a dancer and as a representative for refugees throughout the world. And both of these parts of his personality are really important to his book, Dance or Die, which tells the story of his journey, from stateless refugee to international ballet dancer, and also, tells a double story about commitment to art and to what he wants to pursue as his dream on the one hand, and also his commitment to stateless refugees and to being a spokesperson, or at least a voice for people that have made the difficult journey or have had the difficult challenges that he has faced. So I'm very excited to be talking to you today. Thank you for your time. And as I mentioned, you've lived a very fascinating life, beginning in the Al Yarmouk camp, and then right through up till today, where you're resident in Europe and yet performing throughout the world. Maybe you could begin this interview today by telling us a little bit about your background and a little bit about that fascinating journey.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me and for helping me to get my story to the world and to get for more people to get to know it more and more, and help me share my message as well through dance and through my book. Yes, I am very lucky to have the life I've lived. And it is just an exciting life. It is very challenging, and it's very rich with challenges, with danger, and with war and life at the same time. Because I lived danger, and I lived seeing, let's say, I lost many things that made me appreciate what I have. I've seen death that made me appreciate life. So yeah, my life is very exciting, very challenging, and it taught me a lot. It made me the person who I am today, and I feel very lucky to have lived it, or to still even doing a lot of exciting stuff still. I was born in a refugee camp in Damascus, Syria, as a stateless refugee. Even though I had a Syrian mother, but the Syrian women in Syria, they cannot give a nationality for their kids, so you follow your father in there. That's why I followed my father on papers, and that's why I'm stateless. I used to be stateless. And I lived 30 years of my life with no passport, no papers, no identity card, or like what normal people have. Yeah. And all of this comes with rights that I was ripped of since I was a little kid. I grew up in this refugee camp, and it was my world. It was everything I had, and I had my family around me. I had amazing childhood. My family loved me so much, and I wrote about this in the book as well, like about all the exciting days that or years that I lived there. Um, I was a little singer, little boy singer with my brother, plays music, and we had like our little performances in school. So we were chosen to perform in this like school end of the year celebration, something we do every year. And then I was 8 years old by then, and after our performance, I've seen little girls dancing ballet. And the moment I've seen this, I start moving with them. And I had a feeling that I still have till today when I'm dancing. I really wanted that feeling like all the time. I was playing the music with my body. I felt, yeah, just grace and peace and beautiful feeling. So I wanted to learn this, but in a refugee camp where education is not as much, so nobody knows about ballet. What is ballet? I thought it's only for girls, so I was doing it secretly in my room and wishing nobody would see me. And but my mother found out, and yeah, she was supporting me, and she told me, "What is that?" Yeah, until I became around 15, 16 years old. And so I joined the main dance company in Syria, which is Inanna Dance Theater. And there where I received my ballet education. So I started ballet there, and it was amazing. My mother was a great support for me. Like she did everything to support my dancing, but my father like found it hard to accept that I was a dancer.
Yeah.
We had like serious conflicts. Yeah, but yeah, my father is an artist, but like in the refugee camp, he was ashamed to say my son is a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
And he was bringing this home, and he wanted to stop me. He didn't want even to have a conversation about it or to see what is this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a very, very difficult relationship, me and him. We almost lost the bond of a father and son,
Mm.
um, unfortunately. So I had my challenges starting from my family to the community where I lived, to the bigger family as well, like my uncles and stuff. They were like, no, ballet not for men.
Yeah.
But of course, I kept on dancing. I kept on working on myself. And on 2011, the war starts in Syria, and things got more difficult for me. So, like on 2000, the end of 2012, and a bomb happened just in front of my house, and the whole building were gone. And
Yeah.
so during the war, I lost 5 members of my family. I lost my childhood. I lost my memories, everything I had, my home, um, my neighborhood, everything I had. I only had the clothes I was wearing, like,
Yeah.
and my family too. And but yeah, we kept on living, and we kept on hoping, and I kept on my studies. I was studying at the Higher Institute for Dramatic Arts, the dance department, and I just wanted to go on. And luckily, I had the opportunity to participate in So I Think You Can Dance.
Yeah.
But by then, I was already uh, receiving threats from extremists in Syria
Mhm.
because, as you may know, ISIS came to Syria, Al Qaeda in Syria, these kind of people who has no no minds at all. They were chasing artists, they were chasing history, they were chasing culture, and that's what we can see all of us in the world, that they were bombing around our history and our culture and our art. So I was a target for them, and that's what made me even be more determined. And mainly because I was teaching kids dance and for their religion. This is something you don't do. And so I started receiving like threats and stuff. They wanted to cut my head, and my response was having a tattoo on my neck, dance or die,
Mm.
where they cut the head. because I wanted it to be the last thing they can see from me when they do it. And it's in the Hindi language because the god I relate to is the dancing god. That's why it's in Hindi, in honor to him, the Lord Shiva. Um, yeah. So after a while, I graduated from my studies, and that was 2016. And then a Dutch journalist saw my videos from So I Think You Can Dance, and he contacted me, wanted to do a news reportage about me. So he came to Syria, and he asked me like, Ahmad, where do you want to dance? And then I told him, I want to dance in the Yarmouk camp and in Palmyra. He's like, are you crazy? You're going to kill us. It's like under ISIS control. And I'm like, well, that's what you asked me. If you want me to rent a studio for you, we can rent a studio. I can dance on a theater or a studio that if you want to film it. But where I want to dance there. So think about it. Well, he was a very courageous person. So he's like, yeah, let's go for it. So we got the permit, like the permission to go and film there, and we went. And that was amazing. Like that was a moment, 2 moments in my life I would never forget. Dancing in the Yarmouk camp where I grew up, I went there, I didn't even recognize where is my house. I just had to stop before I crossed certain point where ISIS would be there, and even snipers were shooting. You can even still see this in the documentary because the reportage became a documentary later. And then we went to Palmyra, and I danced on the stage where ISIS executed people in there a month ago before I'm there. And then I danced there to tell them this theater is for art, not for killing people. This theater was bombed after a month. And unfortunately, I am the last artist who could perform on that theater.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's the Roman theater in Palmyra in Syria, one of the most important heritage in the world that we have. So this little reportage went viral, and then the Dutch National Ballet invited me to come to the Netherlands and to work with them. I worked with them, and we started working on the documentary. So this reportage, there was a follow-up where I went to visit my father and to make it up with him, and how I perform with the National Ballet. Basically, he's like filming my journey. And this documentary on 2019 won an Emmy Award, where I had the opportunity for the first time to visit the US, and I was fascinated. I was very happy to get this opportunity, because like back then, as a stateless person with no passport, that's something you don't even think about visiting the United States. But thanks to dance for having been my passport all over the years that I lived. Like dance is my passport. Dance is my nationality and my identity as an artist. That's why I could travel around. Even before with Inanna Dance Theater as well in the Arab world, I could travel around because I'm a dancer. I could stay alive because I'm a dancer. I survived death many times because I was going to the rehearsal, or to my dance class. So yeah, nowadays I am in the Netherlands. Like as I say it, it's a saying in Arabic, but I always as well say it, like I was a stranger and they took me in. Like I lived all my life as stateless refugee with no rights, and now I am a Dutch artist with rights. I could vote for the first time. I have a passport for the first time. I have ID for the first time, and home for the first time. So that's amazing. And now I'm chosen by the Netherlands to present diversity in Eurovision, like to dance the second semi-final. I feel great. I feel great about that. So here I am, as I am, telling my story through you and for you to the world.
Well, that's a wonderful summary of your life and your work, Ahmad. And the book is, the story you just told us is very much the progress of the book. And the book explores your discovery of your passion just the way that you did, I think, so beautifully. It explores the relationship with your family, with your mother and your father, with your good friend um, Saeed,
Yes.
with the documentary filmmaker, with the Dutch theater. Um, the passages in the book that describe going to the camp to perform during the war and then going to Palmyra and performing on that stage are incredibly moving. And I think you did a great job in uh, not just, I mean, obviously you're an artist and a great dancer, but you're also a writer because you did a great job in communicating these very powerful stories about art and identity through your prose. Um, Maybe tell us a little bit about the writing process for you. Uh, you know, um, uh, I know that by the time that we had the manuscript to work on, we had an English translation that we were able to, you and I were able to work on together. Did, but what language did you write this in originally? How did you approach the writing of it yourself?
Well, like I start writing since long time ago, since I was 16 years old. I was writing. I love writing and I love poetry, and I am very fascinated into the Sufism way of poetry in the Middle East. So since I was a little kid, I like to describe uh, things by words,
Yeah.
as I now by dance. So I thought of writing. I wrote in Arabic. Some of the story was wrote in Arabic. Some of the story was wrote in English. And after I danced with Roberto Bolle in Italy, I got the
Mhm.
chance to get in touch with the publisher, the Agostini Libri from
Mhm.
Italia,
Mhm.
and they were like, "How about publishing your memoir?" And I'm like, "Oh wow, that's a great idea." So I had to collect what I wrote and to bring them together. I had the help from a ghostwriter from them to write in Italian, because at the beginning we wrote it in Italian. So I had to write in English and then he had to translate. As we worked together, me and you, for the English version, I worked as well with Alvese
Yeah.
to make it in Italian. But then the English version that we are publishing now, it took all my attention and all my work. And I, as you could notice, I changed many things, and I could add many things as well. I had the time during the COVID lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
I was not performing. I was just trying to keep my shape at home
Yeah.
as a ballet dancer. At the same time, it opened my mind to different views in the world. And through the process of integrating in the Netherlands and applying for the nationality and this kind of stuff as well, it opened my mind and for different, let's say, angles of the view about the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to implement this in my story and to share this. So I worked on the book during the lockdown, and I just want this story to stay alive, because it's not only about the person, it's not only about me. It is the story value. My story has a value, and the value of it, it is worth living. It's worth passing through to other people.
Yeah.
And as I could see around me how people got touched and got engaged and got some people changed their life after hearing my story.
Yeah.
And that made me even put more effort in it, because I could see how many people they need this. They need to see there is hope in life. Even if you are a stateless refugee somewhere, you have nothing. If you work, if you believe, if you have hope and you keep following your hope, you
Mm.
will be who you want to be. And as well, I wanted to open the mind about statelessness.
Mm.
Like, um, when I travel, for example, when I travel in the airport, I have to explain the whole issue in the airport
Mm.
about statelessness. Why do I have this grace? travel document, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I noticed that the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
They don't know about those people who are now fourth generation since the conflict about the Arabian-Israeli war,
Mm.
or like I am a third generation, and there is now the fourth generation, like my niece now, little girl, and
Yeah.
she's stateless, and we are in 2021.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows about that. So I wanted as well to make my book as a little wake up call, a little message for people.
Yeah. No, of course. And you begin the book in the 1940s with your grandparents
Yes.
having to leave um, Palestine and
Yeah.
come to Syria. And that continuity of family, but also of your own situation as a stateless refugee, is, I think, one of the very interesting themes of the book, because your status as a citizen or not as a citizen, and your status as an artist are two things that are happening in parallel,
Yeah.
and you bring them together. And I imagine that when you spend time uh, with the United Nations agencies, or with SOS Children's Villages, that you have an opportunity to meet people who are perhaps like yourself, or who have a similar background, or who just want to know. Can you tell us a little bit about that work that you do?
Yes, I have always lived as the two status, let's say, as
Mm,
the artist and as the stateless refugee.
mm,
And when they both meet together, it's a disaster, especially in the airport.
right.
Yes. Um, but yeah, that gave me opportunity to work with SOS Children Villages, and I could meet different kids with different situations, and I could try to let them feel as an artist and keep the other status on the side,
Mm,
because as an artist you're a creator, and a creator, you can create your own imaginary world in your mind while dancing or painting or playing music, and
mm,
that's so flattering for the soul. It's
mm,
so nice that you can feel you can exist in a different way than their papers. You can
mm,
exist in a different way than what they want you to be in that frame or this frame, or the way you look, or the
yeah.
way uh, I don't know, you talk or something. No, just be silent. Create art.
Mm,
Create art. Creation. As Jonathan Larson says, like the opposite of war is not peace; it's creation.
mm, yeah. It's a
So
wonderful quote. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's one of my mottos.
Mm,
Like, why do we fight in in the way we look?
mm,
Why?
yeah.
We are
Exactly.
we are more than that. We are much more
Mm,
than that. So
mm,
that's what I try to make those little kids feel. For example, in my workshops in the SOS children villages, or for example, when I work with the syndrome Down children,
mm,
imagine those people, how much love they have and how much
mm,
insecurity at the same time.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
by
know, that's and
Mhm.
you have a really nice balance in your life, but also bringing that into the book, between um, understanding history and
Yes.
knowing what history means and the impact it has had on you and your family, but also understanding that outside of history, we have this creative process, or the potential for the creative process, which can provide us with meaning that has nothing to do with politics.
Mhm.
And I think the fact that you're a spokesperson for diversity for the National Ballet in the Netherlands is an important, very important message nowadays. Globalization means that more and more we have diverse cultures, and yet we have so much resistance to diversity from so many uh, uh, institutions, groups of people who are, for some reason, scared of it, and who don't appreciate that something like the dances that you do are, they appeal to everybody. I mean, this is one of the great thing about dance and about music is that it doesn't require a common language.
No.
it's those are universal languages.
Mhm.
And I think this is one of the points of your book too, is how you talk about universality in your art. And another interesting thing, Ahmad, is how you used the power of the internet and social media to create a message and to get that message out to the world. And I'm just wondering, is that something that you have maintained during the pandemic and during the lockdowns? Do you find that a useful tool to continue to get your message out?
I think social media is an open door for the world, and you can use it the way you want.
Mm.
Like it's yeah, it has the positive and the negative, but then if you focus on the positivity of it, you can make a lot out of it. Like we can share our daily life every day on social media. We can share love, we can share hate at the same time. So you choose what you want. In my case, I wanted to share life. I wanted to show hope and life. I share every day when I do my ballet classes. I just put like a little selfie on the story of Instagram, and you cannot imagine how many reactions I have, like from people. Please keep sharing this. It shows a
Mhm.
lot of hope. Please, we are very happy you are still doing this even during this lockdown. We are happy to see you dancing. You are like, so we're sharing happiness. And of course, because of social media, I was found. Funny enough, because I was liked and shared, I'm still alive.
Yeah, yeah,
So yes, as much.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, there are a couple of phrases that you use towards the end of the book, Ahmad, that I think are very powerful. Um, you say arrival is not the solution, and integration is respect. What do you mean by those two phrases?
Like we spend our life in a journey. We think there is somewhere we will arrive and we will feel, okay, now we're done.
Mm,
No, the journey will never stop.
right,
Journey stops only when we die.
right, right.
And yeah.
Mhm.
For me, integration is respect, of course, because if I came from a very different world to
Mm,
you, and I was having a culture shock like for more than 3 years and a half without even noticing
yeah.
that. And I am a very open-minded person. Being a ballet dancer in a refugee camp in Damascus, Syria, of course
Mm,
you are open-minded person. And still, I've got this difficulties in integration because I felt outsider,
yeah.
and I needed time to to integrate. And integration for me, it goes both ways. I respect you, that's why I speak your language. I respect you, that's why I follow your country rules. I respect you, that's why I greet you in the morning.
Yes.
And those are integration in my mind. And that should go both ways. Because coming from a different world, having my culture with me, I don't want to get rid of it.
Mm,
It has a lot of beautiful things. Like in our Arabian culture, we are very hostable.
mm,
We like hosting, we love guests, and we love cooking, and you have to
mm,
eat as much as you love us, like you know, like
right.
as much. So this kind of stuff.
Mm,
So for me to see the difference between these things, and here in the Netherlands it is a little different, they're a little colder than us. So
mm,
so to find the balance, I needed to be understood to understand you as well. How
sure.
can I
Sure.
understand you if you don't understand me? So I tried to put this in there for the people who are finding it difficult to live together. We have a term here in the Netherlands, it's called samenleven. Like in Dutch, it's living together. We live
Mhm.
together. We just
Sure.
live together. And that's what you will see in my dance in Eurovision. Like you will see 40 different dancers. Oops, I just said it, but it's okay. 40 different dancers from a different backgrounds. And I am as well the one in there, and all of us Dutch.
No. Yeah. Oh,
Sustainable.
and it's that is in that in dance is telling the same story that you tell in your book, Dance or Die, which brings all those things together. Um, do you get the opportunity, Ahmad, to get back to Syria at all? Is that something that is possible for you, or what? How does your statelessness and your Dutch nationality, how does that have an impact on that possibility?
I need a visa to go home.
Oh, right, right. It's never simple, is it?
No,
Mm,
it
mm,
is so funny. Well, I think I don't know if I am safe if I go there, to be
right,
honest.
right.
I have all my family there. They are safe. They are
Mm,
okay. I'm supporting them since I left Syria. Since I
mm,
left Syria, and the situation is very difficult economical wise.
mm,
Thanks to Corona, bombs stops.
yeah,
You know,
of
so
course.
but now the economical crisis, I really don't know. My mom trying to find out how
Mm,
I can visit Syria. I would love to visit my grandmother. She's still alive.
of course, of course. Ahmad, you told us the story of your tattoo, which is a very powerful story. You tell it really well in the book, and of course, it is the source of the title for your book as well. You had the tattoo put precisely where the sword would have fallen if
Yes.
the death threats had been carried out. And these were death threats that came at a time when you refused to back down and you continued to perform, not just in the country, but in the actual places that had the most meaning for your culture and where ISIS had taken over and where there was a strong possibility that they could have captured you and killed you. So that's true bravery, I think, if I may say so.
I danced during their shooting.
Mm, mm, yeah. So this, the existence of the violence of the war on the outside and your commitment to your journey as a dancer on the inside is really, I think, a good way of summing up the powerfulness of your book and the way in which you balance those two things so well. I think it's a remarkable story, and I think you tell it remarkably well. And we at Imagine are very pleased to be able to bring this book to North America. And we're also very pleased to be able to talk to you and to hear you tell us your own story personally as well, uh, and to help us bring this very powerful book to an even broader audience. And we welcome you, by the way, to the United States whenever you can come.
Thank you very much. I am very honored. And I hope when we can be able to travel, I have many plans in the US.
Great,
I'll
great.
be dancing there a lot, and hopefully I will visit you as well.
Thank you, Ahmad. We look forward to that.